Hey y'all, Doc MTG here. I haven't done one of these in a while, but here we go. With game day fast approaching and a lot of aggro decks running around, why don't we take a little different approach? And this is something you can tweak to your meta and try at FNM. Abzan Legendary Lifegain. This deck benefits where others may fail using the new Blooming Marsh and Concealed Courtyard, while having access to Shambling Vents and Hissing Quagmire. Alright.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I have a sore throat. We can go over the deck and have a discussion in the comment section below or on the Facebook page. First, let's go over creature spells. In our 1-drop slot, we have a pair of Ovia Bashiri Sage Lifecrafter, a 1/2 human that can generate artifact tokens. For 2 and a green and tapping her, you can make 1/1 servos. May not seem like much, but it comes handy later, especially with the second ability and your mid-range game plan. For 4 and a green and tapping her, you can create an XX construct, where X is the number of creatures you control. There should be a good amount of creatures entering the battlefield almost every turn as we go through the deck continuously. In our 2-drop slot, we have a lot more action going on. We are running 2 Selfless Spirits to protect ourselves from mass destruction like Fumigate or an Abzan flip. We also have 3 Servants of the Conduit. For 1 and a green, you get a Mana Dork with a 2/2 body that helps mana fix for any colors you may need using energy as its resource. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters to use with either Aether Hub, one of the lands that we are running, or the Servant as soon as it isn't summoned sick. Finally, in our 2-drop slot, we have 3 Eiley, the Eternal Pilgrim. For a white and a black, she is a 2/3 with very powerful abilities and utilities, and she has Death Touch to boot. The game plan with her is to sack tokens and other creatures, but more on that later. Using her ability of pay 1 generic mana, you sacrifice a target creature you control and you gain life equal to its toughness. After you gain 10 or more life from your starting total, so it should be 30, and using her second ability for 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 black, you sack a creature to exile troublesome target non-land permanents. Yeah, you heard me. Target non-land permanents, aka planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, etc. And now sliding into our 3-drop slot, it's time to hit the skies with a pair of aerial responders. For 1 generic and double white, you get a 2/3 dwarf soldier with flying, vigilance, and lifelink. Next we have Campbell, Consuls of Allocation, a 2/3 human for converted mana cost, 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 black. This card starts to really punish vehicle and creatureless decks, because whenever an opponent plays a non-creature spell, he loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. For our 4-drop slot, we have the Mythic Gisela the Broken Blade as a 2 of. As we continue to protect the skies, her converted mana cost is 2 and double white, and for that cost, you get a 4/3 flying, first strike, lifelink Angel Horror, and oh yes, we do have Bruna, the Fading Light as a 1 of, in order to enable the scary transformation of Brazella, a Voice of Nightmares. But more on that later. No 5-drops, but we have a few 6 and 7 drops. The only creature we have in our 6-drop slot is a couple of Nauseous Gearhulks, at a converted mana cost of 4 and double black. Whenever the 5/4 construct enters the battlefield, you destroy target creature and you gain life equal to that target creature's toughness. It also has Menace. This creature is a great target to sack with Eiley, because we do have some kind of way to recur it later. And finally, in the late game, we have 2 copies of Emeria Sky Angel and a singleton copy of Bruna. Both have the same converted mana cost of 5 and double white, but have different functions. First, let's discuss Emeria Shepherd, a 4/4 angel with landfall, and with her landfall ability, you can recur a non-land permanent to your hand from your graveyard for any non-plains land drop. But when you play a plains, you return target non-land permanent directly from the graveyard to the battlefield. So let's say you sack that Nauseous Gearhulk to Eiley, play a plains, get back to Gearhulk, and use its Enter the Battlefield ability all over again. With our singleton copy of Bruna, the 5/7 Vigilant Flying Angel, her function is to recur an angel or human but is really here for the late game to meld with Drusilla and become Rosella, Voice of Nightmares. Moving right along to our non-creature package, we are running 3 different copies of Instance, 1 sorcery, 2 types of enchantments, and a planeswalker. For instance, we have 3 Blossoming Defense to give a target creature hexproof to protect it from things like Deck and Stone and Galvanic Bombardment. 2 Eerie Interludes to keep things alive from mass removal such as Fumigate, as well as a way to blink a team with Enter the Battlefield effects. 2 Grasp of Darkness for some targeted removal. For the sorcery, we have 1 Declaration in Stone for mass token removal, for Emrakul, and other big creatures. The 2 types of enchantments we have are 3 copies of Authority of the Consuls. For 1 white, we punish aggro creature based decks, having an opponent's creatures enter the battlefield tapped, while we gain 1 life whenever one of those creatures enters the battlefield. It's pretty good for us. And 2 copies of Stasis Snare, the 1 generic and double white enchantment that has flash and can exile a target creature even if it's indestructible. Lastly, we get to our Planeswalker. We have 2 copies of Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. For 1 generic and double green, you get a Planeswalker early game or late game while letting you have mana for other spells. Her +1 gets you a 0/1 plant token that protects you and her, or a token to sack to Eiley. With her -2 ability, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, giving them bigger butts. This way they can survive early game damage like Fiery Temper. And if she's out long enough, her -7 will gain you X life and draw you X cards, where X is the number of lands you control. Wrapping up the deck, we're going to go over our mana base. We have 24 lands, 5 plains, 2 swamp, 2 forests, 2 canopy vista, 3 fortified village, 3 aether hubs, 2 shambling vents, 2 hissing quagmires, 2 of the new blooming marsh, and 2 of the new concealed courtyard. The sideboard, I leave up to you, because every meta is different and you have to tweak it to your meta. Have a transformative sideboard, maybe against control, maybe against mid-range, or maybe against aggro. With that being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you try out the deck at your FNM or of another event, be on the lookout for more deck tech times. And as always guys, this is Doc MTG saying, peace.